Story 1. If they cannot handle my worst, they do not deserve my best. Funny how those people are always at their worst. Story 2. Advice. Surround yourself with positive people. If you cut someone out of your life when they are feeling down, you encourage them to hide their problems, talk only about positive things, and keep relationships superficial for fear of being excluded. That does not mean you should keep people who treat you badly. We all experience ups and downs. Friends give you their time in both. Story 3. Always trust your feelings. This advice is everywhere. However, feelings often require introspection to understand them and bring about positive change. Story 4. You should not expect unconditional support, love, and acceptance from friends or romantic partners. It is a popular idea, but if people really care, they will tell you when you are harming yourself or others rather than just keeping the vibe chill. Story 5. Live your truth. There is a fine line between authenticity and being an asshole. Story 6. Show them what they're missing. Now, just do better for yourself. Story 7. Ignore the haters. Sometimes those called haters are people who love you and want to warn you of potential pitfalls such as multi-level marketing schemes, cults, and abusive relationships. Update. Some people say that haters refers only to those who criticize for the wrong reasons. I agree that is the intended meaning. Do not pay attention to people who regularly project irrational negativity toward you. My concern is that this phrase can be misapplied as a self-love mantra, which can prevent vulnerable people from listening to valid, well-intentioned concerns from loved ones. It can be used by a manipulative person to keep victims or vulnerable followers in line. I prefer the phrase haters gonna hate because it implies a pattern. A person who is consistently negative is likely to be negative again. But if a normally supportive person, such as your sister, suddenly expresses serious concern that your relationship is abusive, listen carefully. Ultimately, you may have more to lose by disregarding a well-intentioned friend than by paying attention to an ill-intentioned person. I appreciate the feedback and did not find any of you to be haters. Story 8. I have a friend who is very caught up in the girl boss subculture. She works all hours on a business that makes no money, then practices self-care by spending the little money she has on manicures or expensive beauty products that others told her are self-care. Self-care and self-love sometimes mean admitting you need to stop pursuing something that isn't working and is making you miserable, even if it is what you thought you wanted and even if everyone is telling you to keep going. She is not involved in multi-level marketing. She is in the fashion industry making amazing handmade one-offs and is extremely talented. She enjoyed it when it was a hobby or a side project and she likes working on community projects. But when she has commissions, she postpones them until the last minute because of depression, then tries to fit into hustle culture by staying up all night to finish things. It is a terrible cycle. I don't think treating yourself is a bad thing as part of self-care, but she mostly buys into Instagram culture and posts photos of her nails as self-care. I love her, and as a therapist it is hard to see her go through this without help. She has largely been failed by the mental health care system, which told her she missed appointments she was never informed about. Story 9. Testing friendships or relationships unnecessarily, or the movement that insists you can be healthy at any weight. Story 10. The sort of positivity that relies on dragging other people down. I see it most around body image issues, though it can apply to other things. It does not solve underlying problems and only makes more people feel bad about themselves. Story 11. It's not really advice, but it's popular for people to label themselves as brutally honest. Honesty is good, but beware of people who are more interested in the brutality than the honesty. Story 12. Cut off anyone that does not bring you peace. Obviously, this applies to people who are constantly and deliberately making you miserable. But a stressful situation or argument with a friend that you care about does not count if you have not attempted to work it out with them. Story 13. Once you fall out of love with someone, you cannot fall back in love with them. Worst advice I ever got. I am so glad I gave it a second try. Story 14. Being yourself is only good advice if you are a good person. Story 15. Stop texting people first to see who your friends are. What if they are doing the same thing and you just ended a friendship because of a misunderstanding? Edit. Okay, this blew up more than I thought. Many people are raising scenarios and asking about this or that, And the thing is, in some situations this is good advice, but in many cases it is terrible advice. If you are the only one putting effort into the friendship, you may need to reevaluate it, but it could also be that someone is going through something you do not know about and really does not want to talk to anyone at that time. What I meant to say is that this is not a solution for everyone. It is a solution for some. Story 16. Why are you sad? You have every reason to be happy. Even if there are few happy things in your life, you do not need to be ashamed to feel sad or depressed. Story 17. Don't let yourself act like the victim. Someone told me not to let my wife feel like a victim after she was sexually assaulted. People say this a lot because they think it helps survivors feel less victimized, but survivors need to process what happened. They cannot get through healing by pretending it did not occur. The person who said that was my father. As others noted, this often comes from someone close. My wife was my girlfriend at the time. A few disturbing details about the situation. Despite video and eyewitness accounts, no one was held accountable. We initially went to the city police department, which said it was not their jurisdiction. The campus police department said they would look into it, but later told us they found no evidence. Human Resources asked whether she would still be willing to work with him, the boss. They effectively gave her the choice to continue working with him or quit. She ended up quitting. He had similarly harassed another young employee and had also kissed an employee at the store. Story 18. There is no wrong way to parent. As someone who experienced abuse as a child, I believe there are absolutely wrong ways to parent. Frankly, I think the majority of chronic mental illnesses result from harmful parenting practices, because such parenting can affect every body system. Every parent should consult a child mental health professional in the same way they consult a pediatrician about their child's well-being. These professionals have the training to interpret research on child development and can guide parents on raising healthy children. I return to many notifications and expected today to be a bad day, but you all have been genuinely kind. It is comforting to feel heard about something so personal. Thank you for making today a little more wholesome. Story 19. Guilt is a wasted emotion. Pretty sure it was Wayne Dyer who published this nonsense in the 1980s. Having at least some guilt is a good sign that you are not a psychopath. Story 20. Do whatever feels right. Sometimes what feels right is hurting yourself, but that will not heal you. If you are thinking about harming yourself, please seek help. If you are in immediate danger, call your local emergency number now. If you are in the United States, call 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Contact a trusted person or a health professional and let them know what you are feeling. Story 21. If people do not like you for who you are, that is their problem. No, sometimes you are the asshole. 9 times out of 10, the common denominator rule applies. Story 22. Advice that tells you to test friendships by withholding contact to see if someone will notice, or to drop friends who do not reach out regularly, is selfish and passive-aggressive. If you miss a friend, call them. Do not play cat and mouse games. They may have things going on in their lives. The world does not revolve around you. Story 23. Follow your heart. Honestly, this statement almost never works. Sometimes love can be toxic, and the correct decision may be painful. It may hurt to leave someone. Your heart should not rule you. Edit. First, thanks for all the feedback. I enjoy seeing what others think about this issue. Because of what many people are saying in response, I want to clear some things up. I am not saying to never follow your heart or to always choose the logical route. Sometimes risks are worthwhile, whether taking a risk for a new job or starting a new relationship. The point I was trying to make is to avoid following your heart blindly. Use logic. If there is a bad situation, get out no matter what your heart thinks. Story 24. The idea of not giving a fuck is nonsense. I agree. Do not care what people think if you enjoy a certain type of music, but do care about how your actions affect other people. Unfortunately, many people take it to mean do not care that you might hurt others. To practice self-care and self-love, consider the consequences your actions have on the world around you. Story 25. The whole blood is thicker than water idea that you must be loyal to your family no matter what is misguided. If family members are toxic or abusive, There is no reason to keep them in your life, especially if doing so harms your well-being or mental health. Story 26. Just be yourself. Myself describes a person who works minimum wage, part-time jobs that require no mental effort, and then spends the rest of his time playing video games and eating junk food. He is overweight, underpaid, and has little interaction with friends or family. I don't want to be myself. I want to be a better version of myself. Edit. After reading some replies, I should add more detail. I realized that if I remained content as I was, my life would go nowhere. That was about 11 years ago. I am in a much better position now. I still have to fight that instinct, but it is easier now that I have momentum. Story 27. Find a job you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. Even a job you love will sometimes be unpleasant. That's why they pay you to do it. This advice can make you feel like a failure when you have a bad day at work. There is value in working for a living and finding satisfaction on a personal level. Story 28. People often say the phrases positive vibes only, or you just need to stay positive, thinking they are uplifting, but they can be dismissive. People use them when someone expresses sadness, frustration, emotional fatigue, or anger, basically any emotion other than happiness. A positive attitude can take you far, but so can acknowledging and allowing yourself and others to feel their emotions. Edit. This post gained more attention than I ever imagined. Thank you for the rewards. To anyone having a hard time or whose feelings are being dismissed with phrases like this, I am sorry you are going through it. I hope better times are around the corner. My original edit is now in a reply to this post because it seemed too long on review. If you are interested, it is there. Story 29. This is presented as a cure, a picture of the woods. This is presented as poison, a picture of antidepressants. Please be quiet. Some people need antidepressants to function. Going for a walk in the woods will not magically cure depression. Story 30. Nobody needs psychiatric medication. Just go outside for some fresh air and listen to the birds. Story 31. Be a bad bitch. What kind of life are you living? A Wattpad story. Is your dad in the mafia? I don't understand some people. Edit. I know that means be self-assured and confident. I just think that is not a good way to tell someone to be confident. Please don't hate me. Thanks. Thank you to user Kevin24701 for saying that. No proper person should want to describe themselves as bad unless they are just selfish. Story 32. If you cannot handle me at my worst, you do not deserve me at my best. That is a green light to be a shitty human being. Story 33. You only live once. No, you only die once. You live every day. Edit my first gold. Thank you. Story 34. Anything that uses the word detoxify in the description. If you have a liver, you already do this. A juice cleanse is not going to make up for your bottle of vodka and may even make it worse. Story 35. The knee-jerk, dump someone. They are probably cheating on you. Advice you get in the Reddit relationship advice subreddit. Story 36. When people say no one is too busy to talk to someone they care about, it is toxic to expect others to talk to you every day. Yes, sometimes people have other things going on in their lives. It does not mean they do not care. Story 37. You have to love your body. Motherfucker, I am short, bald, ugly, and I have chronic pain. My body betrays me at every turn. Fuck that guy. Story 38. Happiness is a choice. Damn, I must be choosing depression then, I guess. Edit. I'm not saying it's flat out wrong. This is actually good advice. The problem is that it implies a lot more. If it were phrased better, it would solve many of the issues I have with it, especially with regard to depression and other illnesses. Reddit user Josnarchy put it into better words than I could. Your choices directly affect your happiness would be better. Not as catchy, but much better without the same implication. People who say it is somewhat true are making the point I am making. People trying to correct me are essentially repeating what I said. Laughing out loud. Story 39. You can do or be anything you want if you try hard enough. Some people have gifts and talents that others do not. That is the reality. Even though hard work will take you far, there are times when you must acknowledge that you will not be the best at everything, even if you love what you do. You are not suited to every vocation. Story 40. Everything happens for a reason. Enough said, I think. Story 41. Don't hate your parents. However they are, they're still your parents. Fuck this. I don't support child abuse a single fucking bit. Story 42. Man up, keep it together, or be strong when you are in pain or on the verge of tears, as if crying is a sin when you are a man. Story 43. All you need is the proper mindset, especially for wellness coaches. First of all, to anyone who thinks this is all it takes, I strongly disagree. I am aware that mindset is probably the most important factor in being happy and successful, but some days suck, and reducing every problem to this is dehumanizing. Sometimes your dog dies a week after you lost your job, and no amount of mindset would help you be a better you in 7 days, or whatever these mindset coaches claim. Don't get me wrong, I am all for personal development. I work in marketing, and there is a lot of that in the entrepreneur world. In general, they help far more than they harm, but that does not excuse the heartless way they treat people for whom they're pre-planned. Coaching does not work. Since they are not trained mental health professionals, they cannot help a person find the right kind of help, and that can lead to losing control and spiraling into psychosis. These coaches seem to care only about mindset and money. Anyway, if you are one of those people who sell the idea that all you need is the proper mindset and you can get anything, burn in hell. People who die by suicide because of your cult-like techniques have blood on your hands. Rant over. Edit. Thank you for the award. My first. Story 44. Stop looking for love and it will come to you. Maybe that works if you are naturally attractive and interested in things that enhance attractiveness, that is, working out, makeup, fashion, or similar. But if you are a shy, introverted person of average or below average attractiveness, this advice will only leave you sad and alone. Story 45. The girls who are always posting about treat yourself, or if he doesn't treat you like a queen, it's time to find a new one. No. The first is bad financial advice. If you cannot afford something, do not buy it. The second is not how partnerships work. You should be each other's best friends, not worshipped as if one partner were a subject desperate for the other's approval. If your ideal relationship is one of superiority instead of equality, you may have underlying issues. Story 46. If you can't love yourself, how are you going to love anybody else? Can I get an amen? I love my girlfriend, friends, family, and cat. I still don't love myself, but that doesn't make my love for others any less meaningful. Story 47. Anything is possible if you work hard enough. No, not everything is possible. You are not going to be the new Nelson Mandela, the President of the United States, or the new pop artist. I'm sorry to tell you, but it's true. Story 48. Astrology? I'm glad it gives you comfort, but if you start basing life decisions on the effects of the stars, you will probably have a bad time. Story 49. I don't know if this counts as self-love advice, but do not text first. If they really care, they will initiate a conversation. It is a nice way to make yourself lonely. Story 50. For lonely people, you cannot love others until you learn to love yourself. While self-respect is important in establishing a healthy relationship, some people may spiral into feeling unlovable because they struggle to love themselves. Story 51. No one can hurt your feelings without your permission. Bullshit. If someone I care about says something offensive, of course I will consider it true until I prove otherwise. That's just respect. I'm not going to blindly assume everyone is wrong if they say something that hurts. I think that advice is trying to turn people into sociopaths. Story 52. You never know what you have until it is gone. This saying reminds you to appreciate what you have and warns that if you do not, you may regret its loss. The saying came to me many times after I left my abusive ex. Context really matters with these life mantras and wellness advice. Story 53. Make everything all about you because you are worth it. Do not take no for an answer. Pester them until you get a yes. Story 54. Telling someone to just remove the things that cause anxiety is not always possible. Removing stressors can be a useful early step for some, but it is not an option for many people. When anxiety reaches the point that others become concerned, there is often a larger underlying issue, such as a bad living situation or a job that is hard to leave. Repeating simplistic advice to avoid all stressors does not help everyone and can feel insulting. Some situations are inherently stressful and unavoidable, and people may need to cope with them even if they have an anxiety disorder. The focus in those cases should be on learning to handle stress, recognizing and naming emotions, and finding positive coping strategies and distractions to prevent hyperfixation. I am not a medical professional. There are better resources and professionals available for managing anxiety, but the main point is that advising people to simply remove stressors is often unhelpful and unrealistic. Story 55. For me, it's the physical self-esteem and appearance issues and the whole idea of don't ever think a negative thought about your appearance or want to change an aspect about yourself. I'm a natural ginger. Pale, red-cheeked, and freckled. Another thing that comes with that is that I have almost invisible eyelashes and eyebrows. If I don't wear makeup, it genuinely looks like I shaved my eyebrows and eyelashes off. For years I hated this and was just waiting for the day I learned how to fix it. Eventually, I had my makeup done, and it was the most beautiful I had ever felt. All it took was some mascara and eyebrow pencil. I realized then that I was never going to go back to my natural face. I started wearing the same 3 makeup products every single day: mascara, eyebrow pencil, and eyeliner. I became upset that I couldn't go without makeup because I felt naked, so I started dyeing my eyebrows and eyelashes, and it was life-changing. I always feel guilty about only feeling confident after I change myself, but frankly, that's nobody's business but my own. You shouldn't teach people that they have to love their natural appearance no matter what. You should teach them that they deserve respect no matter what their appearance is. I don't like my natural facial hair color, but if someone were to insult or belittle me because of it, I know I don't deserve that. My face is perfectly acceptable the way it is, even if it does not fit my personal preferences. Story 56. Stay away from negative people because negativity is contagious. They bring you down. Yes, if you are in a mentally vulnerable place, that may apply, but otherwise it is justifying selfishness and stigmatizing emotional sensitivity and vulnerability. Story 57. The person who always says I am not about drama is usually the one who is about drama. Story 58. Today's drinking culture is concerning. For reference, I live in the United States. Every other post I see on Instagram these days is a joke or meme about drinking. I find it toxic because alcoholism and drug addiction rates have increased sharply during the pandemic. This is not something to capitalize on or glamorize. Edit. Thank you for the award. Story 59. If you cannot love me at my worst, you do not deserve me at my best. Maybe if you are an intolerable piece of shit at your worst, you have something to work through before demanding others accept and enable you to be a monster. Story 60. The idea that you don't owe anybody anything is often used to justify ghosting friends or prioritizing one's mental health over others' feelings. Ignoring people who care about you or being rude should not be encouraged. In my opinion, you can take time for yourself without being hurtful or cutting people off without explanation. Story 61. Follow your heart. Jesus Christ. Follow your head. Your heart is an asshole. Story 62. You have to love yourself before someone else will love you. I can say from experience that sometimes you need someone else to love you first. There was a time when my girlfriend saw value in me before I saw it in myself. Story 63. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.